Hello, everybody. Dr. Rick Wallace dropping in. I know it's been a minute. So much going on, still in the process of trying to rediscover my pace as I recover health wise, with so much on the plate, so much to do, and the responsibility of properly managing my time. I do get to record things, but I don't necessarily get to record them at times that I feel comfortable doing a live session. So you get a lot more of my recorded content than I would prefer. I would prefer to sit down with you guys and, as some of the cats in the hood would say, politic a bit. You know, talk about some things, share some things, grow together, work with one another. Hello, everybody. Thanks for dropping in. However, I was in the middle of something, and I was conversating with a few people about the latest news with Breonna Taylor. For those of you who don't know, they came back. That was one indictment, but the indictment was for some type of endangerment charge, and it wasn't for shooting Breonna Taylor. It was for the bullets that went through the wall into another person's apartment, and it was only for one officer. Two officers are going to walk away scot-free. One officer is charged with, I forget the name of the charge, I apologize, but with some type of endangerment charge, and he has a $15,000 bond. So at the end of the day, all three officers will be free to go home, and it's going to be all is well. What I wanted to talk about are some questions that's been posed to me over the course of this, especially the last few weeks, as we have sort of anticipated the outcome of the Attorney General's investigation and what would come of it, and also the news of the signing of the settlement by the family for $12 million. And a lot of people took issue with that. And so I was asked about that. I was asked about this decision to not charge them with her killing and all of the things that are going on. I'm not going to entertain any type of negativity or disrespect. So for the trolls that love to hop on, this is a live, so I will deal with you here. What you do when I'm not on here, I hope that some of my moderators catch it and deal with it. But you will not get away with being disrespectful. Matter of fact, you're not even welcome here if you're not about Black empowerment and Black elevation, because that's what this channel is about, regardless of your race. With that being said, I am going to do the best I can. Before I get started, don't forget to show your love and celebrating the work that we do at the Odyssey Project. That information is going to be in the description box of every video on this channel. It's also going to be in the chat stream. Periodically, I'm going to re-enter it in the chat screen. And you guys do me a favor and show some love. We got so much going on. We're still trying to fund our 15-city tour that we have coming up, where we're going to be going into a minimum of 15 cities across the nation to implement programs that I've designed over time. So keep that in mind. Also, something is a little different, a little off. There we go. All right. Don't forget, book number 22 is out now. The Undoing of the African American Mind. The Undoing of the African American Mind. It's out now. You guys have been doing pretty good with your support of that book. I'll continue to get it. It is a follow-up to Born in Captivity, which was book number 19. I'm going to continue to ask you to support the work we're doing. That's just one way that we're funding our work. So again, I want to thank you as far as that is concerned. Okay, let's get to it and get right down to why I'm here and what I'm going to talk about. First and foremost, someone asked me, should we expect anything different if we are constantly saying that this is how the system operates? Should we actually be disappointed? And my answer is no. And it all is in how I define disappointment. To me, uh, in my understanding and study of human behavior and human thought processes, disappointment is the result of unfulfilled expectations. When you expect something and you don't get that thing that you expect, that leads to disappointment. Where there are no expectations, there are no frustrations or disappointments. It is when you expect something that you don't get that you're disappointed. You're disappointed. I don't expect the system to do anything other than what the system does. So rarely am I disappointed. But can I be enraged? Can I be angered? Can I become uh, outdone? Yes. Not because I'm expecting something different, but because I'm tired of getting the same thing. And that's where we are as a people right now. We're tired of getting the same thing. Should we be disappointed? No, because we shouldn't have expected anything different. The truth of the matter is we haven't given them any incentive whatsoever to do anything different. We have to apply the right type of pressure. So the next question that I was asked is, do you think it was a good idea for them to take the $12 million? And does them taking the $12 million kind of say, okay, debt settled? You know, you killed my daughter, my sister, my girlfriend, whatever, and you giving us $12 million. All is well. Uh, to me, it's not that simple. And I'm going to give you how I think it should be done. I've always said that one of the ways that we have to hit them is in their pockets. A few things they understand is life and money. So the first thing you have to do is sit up and say, okay, it's going to cost you substantially when you infringe upon us. Now, that can't be the end game, because if that's the end game, if all we want is the money, then we have simply put a price tag on our head. So the cost of killing a Black person is, that can't be the end result. But what we must say is, definitely, we're going to make you pay financially because you understand that language. Also, if we think right and we create agendas and we create strategies and we do the proper, we properly educate subsequent generations, we start to build a funnel to where we can start to finance our positioning and to be able to do things based off of money we're getting in a number of different ways, not just for being killed, but we need to seek financial retribution whenever we are wronged. Discrimination, wrongful shootings, wrongful imprisonment, all of that. When those lump sums of money come in, that should be an understanding of what you're going to do for your family long term. What are you going to do first for your family? What are you going to do secondly for the Black movement? There should be a certain percentage of investment in the Black struggle. If you are truly a quintessential Black person, you have to understand that this is a collective endeavor and that everybody needs to be involved. So do I think they should have took the money? Yes, but they should not have taken the money and signed a non-disclosure agreement. And they probably should have held out if all possible. And as I told the person who asked me this question, I think it would be foolish of me and unrealistic of me to ask a family to turn down a sum of money that they will not collectively see in their lifetimes. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have as Blacks, is that we have this demand upon those who cannot financially bear it. We wonder why our youth, our talent, in some cases not so much, but our youth sign these contracts with these record labels to do music that they're not even passionate about, but they're being paid these hold on, my daughters are getting ready to walk in. Okay. So in essence, what happens is they sign these contracts with these record labels for these advances, 500,000 advance, $1 million advance, and they've never seen $5,000 at one time in their life. And you expect them to actually turn that down because the contract doesn't benefit them or because they're giving up control of their music. If we want to maintain that kind of control, then we've got to create an environment in which we can finance the desires, the movements, and passions and dreams and visions of our people, because that's how they're winning. They're buying our culture at wholesale price because that's the only place that our people can get the kind of money that they're giving. If we want our kids to really truly value the art and to really truly impress upon them the need to be their best, then we have to create an avenue for them. It's hard to take an impoverished people and tell them to turn down money that they can no otherwise have. So we have to start looking at ways that we create these avenues. We have to start teaching, first of all, the principles of group economics, the principles of cooperative business endeavors. We have to really, truly teach an understanding of how markets work. We've got to have a better understanding of finance so that we create a platform through which we can empower our youth. It is imperative that we do that. It is imperative that we look beyond the surface of what's going on and see the responsibility and the need for us to step up and do things like this. But in essence, when you sit up and you take the 12 million, if you sign a non-disclosure agreement, what you have basically said is you paid me for my silence in the killing of my loved one. And while I have money, I have no voice. You have killed my loved one. You have bought the right to kill my loved one, and you have silenced me in the process. If I'm going to take the money, I'm taking the money without the non-disclosure. Number one is one way that we're going to have to deal with that is we're going to have to literally rid ourselves of these lawyers who come in and their sole thing is the bag, securing the bag. And so they come in, they're not coming in for justice, they're coming in for the bag. And immediately they start to coach the family on how to respond. Don't say this in the media. Let them know that you're forgiving them. That's been a common theme, especially with the clients of Benjamin Crump. Why? Because he's setting the tone for a quiet exit with the bag for the family, and of course him, because he gets 33% of everything that he gets in settlement. Have you noticed he's never taken a case to trial in a civil courtroom to win a settlement, because the settlement would be much larger. If they're paying you 12 million, how much you think they would lose if they actually went to trial? No one settles for more than they think they're going to lose. So in essence, you have to understand the game. It's like when I'm sitting down to do a negotiation. You know, if you're sitting up and you're saying you're going to pay me this, and that's the first thing out of your mouth, I know it's worth more than that. Because nobody comes and says, I'm going to give you everything it's worth. You have to know that, and then you have to be aware of what you're worth. So when they come in 12 million, number one is the first thing you can say, and it's easy to say this because you're not in the situation. There's no amount of money that can make up for the life of my loved one. No, there can't, but I can take it to you as hard as I possibly can to make you feel so strongly about how wrong it was that you won't allow it to happen to another person again. That's my goal. My goal would be, I'm going to hit you so hard financially that this is the last time this is going to happen, because from this point on, people are going to know this is how hard you can come out of it. I'm not going for the first settlement. I don't care how much it is. Now, granted, I may have a little bit more leeway as far as what, well, the sun will come out right then. And when I set this up, the sun wasn't out, so it's a little tripping a little bit. But anyway, so I may have a little more freedom to do that than the average person. But shoot, right now, COVID's got everybody's money funny, include mine with all the responsibilities that I have. But, you know, I can sit up and say, no, I'm not taking that, especially with all that is at stake. But what happens is when you sit up and you sign that non-disclosure agreement and you sit up and you say, I'm about this, I'm not going to speak on it. You literally cannot speak on it. Once you sign this non-disclosure agreement, or you can be found in contempt, and you can void. I mean, it's so much that happens. You can end up losing the award and having to pay back whatever you've received to that point. It's so much that goes on. And here's the problem. When you sign the agreement, you put a price tag on the head of your loved one. You vicariously place a tag on every Black person, because that's what this is about. We have to be clear. Black people are being killed without cause, and so you sit up and say, okay, that's by accepting this and saying I'm not going to pursue it any further. It's saying all we got to do is pay you money and we're good. And so then what happens is the next person's out there. All the officer does is, I'm going to shoot them. The city's going to pay for it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to even keep my job. But worst case scenario, I'm going to get fired. It's going to get hot. They're going to talk about charging me. And whites will rally around me and raise money and enrich me for charges I'm never going to face. I offer you Exhibit A, Darren Wilson. Darren Wilson shot Mike Brown. A whole bunch of talk about taking him to trial. He resigned his position because of the stress. They raised almost $600,000 on. GoFundMe before GoFundMe kicked them off. Then they went to another platform and raised more money. He ends up almost being a millionaire for taking a Black life. That's what white people have consistently done. Same, the officer that killed Walter Scott in South Carolina. Same thing. Over and over again, these officers get hemmed up. White people come to their rescue. White people know how to get on code. And what you can't tell me is that all of the white people that are giving this money, and they're not giving $15, $20, they're giving $200, $500, and pats on the back and telling them good shot and all kind of other derogatory things. Way to kill that porch monkey. All this, because I went to check it out. I want to see the psychology flowing around doing something when you know somebody. They've raised a major amount of money from this kid what's his name? Rittenhouse. That went up there and shot those people, called itself protecting property in another state. They've raised money for him. What happened is GoFundMe kicked them off, wouldn't let them raise. A church, a white church, started a fundraiser on their site and have raised several $100,000 to this point. They get on code. They know how it happened. Now, here's the thing. When you get somebody like Crump coming in, that's where you get the I forgive and I'm over it. Let me tell you something. As a research psychologist, as a performance psychologist, as somebody who has spent more than 30 years studying human behavior, forgiveness is not given that quickly, not authentically. Now, we've been, as Blacks, taught to do it. No, I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised or disappointed. I made that statement a little earlier. That I'm not surprised or disappointed. In order to be disappointed, you have to expect something that you don't get. I'm not getting anything that I didn't expect to happen. So there's no disappointment. I'm tired. I'm upset, but I'm not disappointed or surprised. But what happens is when you sit up and you allow somebody like Crump to come in, he's prepping them, he's coaching them. These press conferences are not impromptu from the heart. They are planned and calculated and expressed to set up and set the right atmosphere to work out a deal with the city. And it's about securing the bag. It's never, and he convinces them that the justice is in the payout. And I have no problem with the payout. I believe that you need to hit them. I believe that that's one way that we can start the transfer of wealth, is by hitting cities for everything that they do, government agencies, corporations, for everything they do. We need to start filling civil courtrooms with complaints that have legitimate chances of winning. We need to stop letting things pass because it didn't turn our way. We need to start hitting these people for every little thing that they do that mishandles us. We need to make them pay for it. But we don't stop there. When someone takes a life, there has to be a consequence beyond payment. because my life to me and I hope to my family is more valuable than any amount of money that you have. So then there must be something. There must be a give and take. If you take, then I'm going to take your freedom at the very minimum. And that's the message that we have to send. And so we don't stop because we got paid. We don't stop because we received the bag. We don't stop because our bank account changed. Because then that sends the message, well, as long as we can afford it, we can keep doing it. No, what you have to sit up and say is, we're going to do whatever the white lady in Wisconsin who called the police about a burglary, and when they showed up, ran up on the car, scared the black officer, and he shot her. You know, he feared for his life, but he unfortunately feared for his life, and it was a white woman. And so he shot her. They gave that family $20 million and sent the officer to prison for 12 and a half years. Now, I don't think 12 and a half years is enough if you wrongfully kill somebody, but I think that that's a start. He didn't get half the chance. He didn't get any of the benefits that these white officers get when they kill black people. But you got to understand that we are still not absent of the dehumanization that took place during slavery. We have to understand that in order for people to do us the way that they've done us in slavery and post-slavery, they have to dehumanize us. They have to do what Dr. King called, there's a thingification, where you turn a person into a thing in order to justify how you're handling it. And so we became dehumanized. Back in slavery, there was this belief that black women didn't feel pain. The father of who's been called the father of modern gynecologists, Marion Sims, did all kind of experiments on black women, no anesthesia, because black women don't feel pain. One of the founding fathers of this country, Thomas Jefferson, who sired many children with a black woman, said that black people don't have souls. Therefore, they cannot feel psychological, emotional pain. Also said that they don't have a place in heaven, and on and on and on. We were dehumanized. Well, what happened is, when slavery ended, we were never given our humanity back. Matter of fact, they've done everything in their power in the media to consistently portray us as animalistic. That's why you will not get the same response from white people and other non-blacks when a black person is shot or mishandled, because they don't see us. That's why you'll get a lot of white people who will be more upset about a dog being mishandled than a black person, because they literally see us as less than the dog. They'll never say it because it's not politically correct, but the way they respond to how we're treated tells a story. And you have to go back and be able to know and read that story to understand. We have never been given our humanity. We've never gotten beyond being 3/5 of a human being. We have never gotten beyond being a soulless people. And despite as much as they attempt to emulate us, as much as they attempt to grab and misappropriate our culture, they don't want to acknowledge who we are, because then they will have to give an account for what they've done to us. So there is this consistent dehumanization and animalization and thingification of blacks. And so what we have to understand is, we need to spend more time in the media. We need to spend more time in using platforms and voices to reveal our human nature, to reveal that we are as intelligent or more intelligent, that we are as gifted or more gifted, that we are as creative or more creative, that the truth is that the vast majority of things that are appreciated as conveniences and advances in this country come from the mind of a black person. We are remarkable and we are exceptional. We need to promote that. We need to put that out. We need to create platforms. We need to get behind those who are making that statement, so that we are forcing the world to see us for who we really are. Not that we need the approbation and approval of the world, but when you need allies that are going to sit up and say, you're not going to do that to them on our watch, then you're not fighting the battle alone. I'm not saying we align with anybody, but I'm saying there are some things you can see happen to somebody you don't even know, and you'll stand up and say something because it doesn't sit well with you. It's because you empathize with them. And so what has to happen is that same thing. We need people to empathize. We need people to see us for who we are. We need to stop allowing them to use certain arguments that place us in a light of lower existence, when the truth of the matter are we are the results of how we've been treated. We are the results of where we come from. And so that is an absolute necessity for us to stand up and be vocal about who we are and be as articulate in our vocalization of our feelings and our reality as we possibly can. Now, I am in no means saying that you have to take things that you feel you don't have to take for the purpose of appearing more intellectual or more respectful. There are some times that you have all the right in the world to totally turn somebody's ass upside down. And matter of fact, you have a certain responsibility. There are just certain things that you cannot do to me or my family without feeling me. And that's the thing that we have to keep in mind too, is that we have a right to defend ourselves. We have a right to stand up and say, not on my watch. Black men, I'm calling every last one of you out. We have a right and a responsibility to walk in our roles and purposes as men to cover our women. So what I mean by that is that we have to sit up and say, not on my watch. You will not harm a black woman on my watch. If a black woman comes up harmed, better believe somebody's paying for it. That's got to be the mindset. That has to be the mindset. So in essence, what I'm trying to get across here is that we have to create consequences for undesired actions. As long as there are no consequences for undesired actions, those undesired actions will continue. People like to talk about moral turpitude. People like to talk about moral standing. People want you to believe that the reason that the most of people here don't have in America don't have criminal backgrounds is because they have this high moral standing. No, they have an aversion to being incarcerated. There's a consequence to a bunch of the stuff that they want to do, but no, if they do it, there's going to be a consequence. There's so much more that will be happening if there weren't consequences for it happening. It's the same thing here. There has to be something that actually causes a person to say, I don't want to do that, outside of trusting and believing in their moral turpitude or their moral standing of their moral conscience. We need to provide a consequence that says, if you step out of line, if you do this to us, this is what we're going to do to you. It's absolutely imperative that we get to that point. So I'm going to back up again. No, I have no problem with her family accepting $12 million. Again, I think it would be foolish and unrealistic of me to advise any family that will never see that kind of money outside of a situation like this collectively, not just one individual. The entire family will probably never see that money collectively in their lifetime. And so to have it all at once, now I would wonder what they're going to do with it. I would wonder and ask, are they prepared to do something positive with it? Are they prepared to take it to the next level? Again, you guys, I love you much. Show your love and support with the work we're doing at the Odyssey Project. But, you know, that will be my thing. Are we preparing and training people to take money as they get it and do something with it other than the practice of consumerism and to spend off into the very economies of the people who oppress us? I have said this so many years, for so long, so many times, that it rings in my head that until we stop spending in the white, every time we spend our money in the white economy for things we don't need. Now, I understand we don't have an infrastructure. We don't have an established economy to provide us with all the things we need. So there are things we just simply are going to have to buy from people that don't look like us. But when we spend exorbitant amounts of money into economies of people who oppress us, we're literally financing our own demise. And I don't think we get that. We literally finance our own demise when we take money and we pour it off into white economy for things we don't need, strengthen their economy, continue to enrich them, and then allow them to use those very riches to oppress us. That's the problem that we have to face. So my thing is, when you get that kind of money, what are you doing with it? Again, I don't control that, and I'm not advising the family on that. What I'm saying is we have to do a better job of training this up and coming generation so that as things transpire, they are in a better mindset to do the right thing. Again, I think that's why Marion and I push the restoration of the Black family so much, is because the Black family is the institution through which our values and our interests and principles are inculcated into the psyche of young children at a depth that it cannot be easily shaken, moved, or reconditioned. That's important. Why? Because there are a bunch of reconditioning mechanisms throughout the media, music, movies, television, the content on Instagram, on YouTube. A lot of it is counterintuitive, counterproductive to Black growth, and they're constantly force feeding it to our children on their devices. That's why we limit screen time here. It's because we know what's out there. We limit and monitor screen time. Awesome. More and more books. Keep it going on, and we need to make networks to where we're sharing and loving on one another. Keep it going. Keep it going. Look, we can whine, we can complain, we can talk about they've done it again. We can do all the things we've always done, or we can say, okay, that's something that struck different with George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery. That's something that struck different with Breonna Taylor. Uh, I'm telling you, I have so many of these babies in my mind, and I call them babies because, I'm in my 50s now. And, the one that changed me, I had, you know, all the way back to Byron Gillum, a young brother who was killed by an officer here in Houston, a senseless killing, and the officer was fired and ended up getting a job at another police department. I remember it, and it messed with me. I remember Amadou Diallo. I remember Sean Bell and so many others. But the first time I ever saw it on video was Oscar Grant. And I've never gotten over it. I've never gotten over seeing that. And I've gotten to the point now, after seeing so many, I refuse to watch them. I do my research, I read the reports, and I come up with an idea of what happened, and I work from that. But I refuse to watch them because it has taken such a toll on me. And that was the day that I set up and said, as long as I'm breathing, I'm going to be a voice for the voiceless. I'm going to go beyond the books. I'm going to go beyond the speeches. I'm going to attack this with everything I have. And it hasn't been easy. But we have to do a better job of really, truly investing in ourselves, investing in those who are putting boots on the ground and making things happen. I talk with colleagues and other people who are part of grassroots movements, and it's the same story. We're putting in the work, but we get the pats on the back, we get the likes and the shares, we get all that, but it's hard to get people behind the work. It's somebody in your city that's doing work. I promise you, somebody. If it's not, contact me, and I'll make sure that there is. But at the same time, you got to be willing to get behind them. It's not easy. You got to be willing to sit up and put in some work. You got to be willing to invest. I see people saying, man, I would if I could. And the next time you see them, they're posting about being at the LV store, at the Gucci store, and all this stuff like that. I'm not telling you what to buy and what not to buy. Spend your money as you see fit. I've spoiled my wife in certain occasions, but I'm also putting my blood and sweat into my people and into my family. So if, I can take a little time back and really reach out to give my wife something she's never had, because she's fought hard. Until I got with her, she was on her own, raising 6 kids. And so I came in and I promised her I was going to do everything I could to give her a different and better life than she had. So there's some things that I got to experience in my youth that I outgrew. that she never got to experience, and I will not deny her that. But I, at the same time, am going to be 100% sold out into helping my people and doing what's right and being responsible. And so on that, what I'm leaving you with is this: we have to make them feel us. We have to make our presence felt. We've got to invest in one another. We've got to create situations, networks, financial opportunities, social networks to create social connectivity so that people, when we need something, we have it. We're working on creating a mental health network. Um, We're working on creating a national mental health network. We're also working on a 15-city tour where we're going to start building a national network of Black communities where all of these cities will be connected to share, to resource, and to ensure that no one's left on an island. Black Men Lead is still growing, and I'm still developing. I'm still conducting research. I've got another 2-year spot that I'm putting up that I've got to figure out how to get funded, but I'm doing that. Just dropped book number 22, which unveils some of the latest findings. It's a follow-up to book number 19, Born in Captivity. Book number 22 is the undoing of the African American mind. Like I said, we're working. We're putting work. Marion is full all out with restoring Ghettos Forgotten Daughters. Some work she's been doing with women since I met her, and actually she was a client and I worked with her in her healing process. And when we finished working together, I made up in my mind that was going to be my wife, and I went and got her. And we've been together ever since. So look, you could easily throw tantrums about what's going on. I'm beyond that. There are some things I do get upset about, but I'm beyond that. I'm more like, okay, calculate it now. What are we going to do? And that should be the question. What are we going to do? Are we going to sit up and do the same thing we always do, show unrest, and then tire out and go take a seat? They have gotten used to that. They just let us walk. They treat us like a temper tantrum throwing 3-year-old. That's just how they teach us. As a matter of fact, I've said this many times, until we have an economic floor through which we can actually apply pressure and hurt them financially, our riots and protests are nothing but collective temper tantrums. And that's how they treat us. They treat us just like a 3-year-old throwing a temper tantrum. They just let you lay there, throw a tantrum until you're tired and fall asleep. And by the time you wake up from sleeping, you don't even remember why you were mad. Then move on to the next one. And they've been doing that to us over and over again. We need to be calculative. We need protocols in place. We need behaviors that don't require emotional charges to take action. We shouldn't be in situations where this is just simply what we do. I don't have to be mad at you to do it. I'm just going to do it because it's what I do. That's something we definitely need. Look, I'm going to get ready to get off of here. Been on about 40 minutes. I've got to do a better job, and I apologize. I've got to do a better job of getting here on these lives more often. Like I said, I try to do what I can to get you some recorded content, and I'll continue to do that, but I've got to do a better job of getting up here and actually spending some time with you guys and sharing. You guys are awesome. I love your input. I read your comments, and continue to do what you do. Continue to be a cog in this wheel that's rolling us towards empowerment. Continue to be a part of the process. Continue to be a part of the solution. We can complain or we can go to work. And that's going to be, your decision. As far as me, I'm going all out. I'm going to live my life on full. I challenge you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. You guys have an unbelievable day. Thank you. And don't forget to support the work we do. I'm out of here.